Hey everyone, welcome to Rocky Tropix Gardening. It is almost spring. It's the last month of winter. It's August here in Melbourne, Victoria. I used to be in the tropics, so I still talk about the tropics as this is my tropical channel from when I used to live there. But spring can mean fruit fly, and sadly the same is true here in Melbourne now. It's made its way all the way down to Melbourne. Pesky thing. Anyway, I will be showing my Melbourne viewers this video as well. So stay tuned and we'll show you how to make a very cheap DIY easy fly trap which has organic ingredients. See you in a minute. I used to make quite a few of these in the tropics, but I gave a lot of them away to my friend, actually all of them, because I didn't think there were any fruit fly in Victoria. But what you will need is any kind of container like this. The smaller the better, because you only need a tiny bit of liquid in the bottom. We don't buy a lot of drinks out, but you might want to collect them over time or ask friends. The attractant that I use is apple cider vinegar. Doesn't matter what brand, because that will attract the fruit flies because it's sort of like old fruit. What I was worried about was bees. So apparently they can attract bees as well. So there are a few different essential oils that allegedly repel bees, so the bees won't want to come and sniff what's in here and get stuck. One of them is eucalyptus oil. I've chosen eucalyptus oil because it's the cheapest and won't smell weird, hopefully. And dishwashing soap of some kind, because that breaks the surface tension and weighs down the fruit fly's wings, and then hopefully it can't get out again. Some scissors. If you're using cable ties or zip ties, you only need one. And I couldn't find my wire, which is really weird. Looked through all the garage. I used to have wire. It's much cheaper to do it with wire. So if you have wire that's not quite as thick as that, you need probably about that much wire, and some pliers so you don't hurt your hands when you're bending it. We are going to make a hole in the top so that you can hang it in the tree or wherever you want it, and some holes for the flies to get in but not out, because the liquid will only be in the very bottom here. And you can use a nail or a drill bit on a drill, or a drill bit without a drill. Alrighty, I was going to put a piece of wood down so that I didn't make a hole in my plastic. Hopefully I haven't. Right, so now we put the hook on the top. If you had wire, which is much cheaper, as I said, than doing this, you would make the same shape here and then thread the wire through, and then just put a little loop in it here, which is why you need pliers, because otherwise you'll hurt your fingers. But we're just going to make do with what we've got, save ourselves a trip to the hardware store. Alright, now I need to put the cable tie through and back again to make a loop, or zip tie if you call it that. Doesn't matter if this hole is too big, it won't really matter. Either way, the fruit fly will get into the mixture and hopefully get stuck. Once you've got it tight, cut it off so you don't hurt yourself later. Alright. Got our little container, so you need holes to get in and the liquid right down the bottom, so hopefully they can't get out again. Here's me thinking I'd be all fancy and use a drill, but it's actually not working very well. That was so much easier. This right, this is something that keeps your shade cloth down in the ground. You probably have one of these if you're a gardener. That even made a bigger hole. So alrighty, let's do this without the drill. Doesn't matter how many holes you put in there, as long as it's enough for the bugs to find their way in, for the fruit fly to find their way in. Yeah, so maybe this plastic is a little bit too slippery, too something. I'll just keep the point on there, and it seems to work with just a little bit of pressure. It's probably safer than a drill actually for what I'm trying to do. Unless you're super awesome with a drill maybe. Alrighty. It's about 6 or 7 holes. Yep. That's your fruit fly trap. So I'll just put some bait in there, the attractant part first, apple cider vinegar. Some eucalyptus oil. You won't need much of this because it's quite potent. Just maybe a drop or two. I actually had to do my sourdough to put my sourdough together, and I delayed doing this until I'd done my sourdough mixing because I didn't want to have eucalyptus flavoured sourdough because that would be just gross. And you only need like tiniest, perhaps even less than that drop. Maybe swish it around a bit because it'll just sit on the top. And there's your fruit fly trap. Wow, it actually doesn't smell that bad. Hopefully it works really well for the fruit fly. So I'll report back on how this goes. Pretty happy with that. And I hope my friend in Queensland, whom I gave all my other traps to, is having some success too. So I'm just going to put this little trap up here. Hopefully it'll stay. I might find a better spot for it if that doesn't work. And I'll check it tomorrow and see how we go. This is a good spot for it because eventually I will have tomatoes all along here. They're probably the main target for little fruit fly. And we'll see how we go. Oh, yes, of course, also my espaliered fruit trees here. So I'll get going on a few more traps and we'll be ready for spring summer. Thanks for watching. Hope you're having fun in your garden. I'll see you next time.